Most people believe life rewards urgency, struggle, and need. They believe that if they want something badly enough, life should eventually give in. But years pass, effort is spent, and frustration grows. Not because they didn't want it enough, but because they misunderstood how life works. Life does not respond to desperation. It does not negotiate with wishes. It responds to something far more precise and far more powerful: value. This truth explains why some people quietly advance, while others remain stuck, even though both are working hard and wanting more. It explains why opportunity seems selective and success unevenly distributed. Life is not unfair. It is exact. It measures what you bring, not what you lack. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop waiting for life to notice your struggle, and start becoming someone life cannot ignore. People often believe that wanting something badly is enough to bring it into their lives. They say, "I need more money," or "I need an opportunity," or "I need things to change." And the need feels real. It's emotional, urgent, sometimes painful. But here is the hard truth Jim Rohn taught so calmly and so clearly: need alone creates nothing. Life does not move because you are desperate. Life does not change because you are struggling. Life is not persuaded by how badly you want something. You can need money and still be broke. You can need success and still fail. You can need better health and still be unhealthy. Not because life is unfair, but because life operates by laws, and one of those laws is that results come from action and value, not from need. Need may wake you up, but it cannot carry you forward. It can motivate you emotionally, but it cannot produce outcomes on its own. Think about the marketplace. An employer does not pay you more because your bills are high. A customer does not buy because you are behind on rent. The marketplace is neutral. It simply asks one question: what do you bring? If need were enough, everyone would be wealthy. Everyone needs something. Everyone wants more. But wanting is common. Value is rare. This is where many people get stuck. They confuse desire with progress. They feel the pressure of need and assume that pressure should count for something. But pressure without growth leads only to frustration. Need can make you anxious, angry, or impatient, but it does not make you capable. And capability is what life responds to. Jim Rohn used to explain that need is a starting point, not a solution. Hunger might get you off the couch, but it won't teach you a skill. Fear might push you to look for answers, but it won't turn you into a professional. Only deliberate effort, learning, and discipline can do that. If need were powerful enough by itself, then every struggling person would eventually succeed just from wanting it long enough. But time passes, and without change, nothing improves. This is why relying on need is dangerous. It gives the illusion that something is happening when nothing is changing. You feel busy emotionally, but you are stagnant personally. You are hoping instead of growing. You are wishing instead of becoming. And life waits. It always waits for value. A need also tempts people to blame. When you believe need should be rewarded, disappointment quickly turns into resentment. You start thinking life owes you something. You look for someone to fix it, someone to notice, someone to rescue you. But life doesn't work on sympathy. It works on contribution. The turning point comes when a person realizes that need is not an argument. It is a signal. It is simply telling you that something must change in you. When Jim Rohn said, "Work harder on yourself than you do on your job," he was pointing directly at this idea. The solution to need is not begging or waiting. The solution is becoming more capable, more skilled, more disciplined, more valuable. Life rewards usefulness, not emotion. That is one of the simplest truths to understand, and one of the hardest to accept. People often believe that effort alone should guarantee results. But effort without usefulness still falls short. You can work hard all day, feel exhausted at night, and still not move forward, if what you are doing does not create value. Life is not impressed by how busy you are. It responds to how useful you have become. Value is what solves problems. It is what makes other people's lives easier, better, or more efficient. The marketplace, relationships, and opportunities all function on this principle. When you bring something valuable to the table, life responds naturally. When you don't, life remains silent. This is not punishment. It is feedback. It is life saying, "Grow. Look at how money flows." It always moves toward value. A person who can communicate clearly, solve problems, lead others, or create something useful is rewarded. Not because they asked for more, but because they became more. People do not pay for your intentions. They pay for results. They do not reward your potential. They reward your performance. Value turns effort into income, and intention into opportunity. The many people confuse time spent with value created. They say, "I've been here for years," or "I work harder than anyone else." But longevity and effort are not the same as usefulness. You can repeat the same year of experience 10 times and call it 10 years, yet never increase your value. Life does not respond to repetition without improvement. It responds to growth. A value is also deeply connected to learning. The more you know, the more you can do. The more you can do, the more problems you can solve. And the more problems you can solve, the more valuable you become. That is why Jim Rohn placed such emphasis on reading, studying, and self-education. Formal education may earn you a living, but self-education earns you a fortune, because it increases your value beyond your job description. Another important truth is that value is relative. What is valuable in one place or time may not be valuable in another. This means you must stay aware. You must keep learning, adapting, and sharpening your skills. Life does not reward what you used to be good at. It rewards what you can do now. Value is not a one-time achievement. It is a continual process. People who grow resentful often believe they are being overlooked. But life does not overlook value. It recognizes it instantly. If you are not being rewarded, the question is not, "Why don't they see me?" The better question is, "What can I do to increase my usefulness?" That question puts you back in control. It shifts your focus from complaining to improving. Value also shows up in character. Being dependable, honest, prepared, and disciplined creates trust, and trust is a form of value. People want to work with those they can rely on. Opportunities open to people who show up early, follow through, and do what they say they will do. These qualities may seem small, but they compound over time and make a person increasingly valuable. When you understand that life responds to value, you stop waiting for permission. You stop hoping someone will notice your struggle. You start asking better questions and taking better actions. You invest in yourself, not because life is unfair, but because life is consistent. And consistency means that as your value rises, life responds accordingly. Once you understand that need alone creates nothing, your mindset shifts. You stop asking, "Why doesn't life give me a break?" and start asking, "What do I need to learn?" You stop saying, "I deserve more," and start saying, "How can I earn more?" That shift is quiet, but it is powerful. It moves you from hope to control, from frustration to progress, from wishing to building. And life, patient as it is, begins to respond only when that change begins. Income is often treated as a mystery, something influenced by luck, connections, or circumstances. People say they are underpaid, overlooked, or stuck, and while those situations can feel very real, Jim Rohn taught a deeper principle beneath them all. Your income is a reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace. Not your intentions, not your effort, not your needs, but your value. This idea can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is one of the most empowering truths a person can learn. The marketplace is not emotional. It does not know how hard your childhood was, how stressful your bills are, or how tired you feel at the end of the day. It only measures one thing: usefulness. How many problems can you solve? How well can you solve them? How difficult are those problems to solve? And how many people can you help? Your income is simply the scoreboard that reflects the answers to those questions. Many people work hard and still struggle financially, and this creates confusion. They assume effort should automatically lead to reward. But effort alone does not determine income. Two people can work the same hours in the same building and earn very different amounts. The difference is not time or sweat. The difference is value. One person may have developed skills that are harder to replace, decisions that carry more responsibility, or abilities that directly affect results. Life rewards that difference. Income does not grow because you need more money. It grows when you become worth more. This is why asking for a raise without increasing value rarely works. The marketplace silently responds, "For what?" But when you improve your skills, increase your results, or take on greater responsibility, income often follows without being demanded. Value creates leverage. It gives life a reason to pay you more. Jim Rohn often explained that wages are paid for bringing value to the marketplace, not for showing up. Showing up is expected. Value is optional, and that is why it is rewarded. Anyone can occupy space. Fewer people can create impact. The more impact you make, the more income you are capable of earning. This principle also explains why income has no real ceiling. There is no limit on how valuable you can become. You can always learn more, improve more, communicate better, lead stronger, and solve bigger problems. Income grows in direct proportion to personal growth. When people stop growing, income tends to stall. When they start growing again, income often starts moving too. Understanding this removes resentment. Instead of feeling angry at the system, the company, or the economy, you begin to look inward. You ask better questions. What skills do I need to develop? What problems can I learn to solve? How can I become more effective? Those questions shift you from victim to participant, from frustration to progress. It also changes how you view learning. Education stops being something you finished and becomes something you pursue. Books, mentors, practice, and experience become tools for increasing your value. You are no longer learning just to know more, but to become more. And as you become more, your income has room to grow. Income reflecting value is not a judgment of worth as a human being. It is simply a measurement of marketplace contribution. Separating those two ideas is important. Your dignity does not rise and fall with your paycheck, but your results do. And results can be improved. And once you accept that income reflects value, you gain control over your future. You may not be able to change the economy overnight, but you can change yourself. And when you do, life responds, not out of kindness or cruelty, but because value has increased. The personal development is often misunderstood as something extra, something you do when you have spare time. Jim Rohn taught the opposite. He believed personal development is the foundation that supports everything else in life. Your income, relationships, confidence, and opportunities all rise and fall with the level of person you become. When you grow, your results grow. When you stop growing, everything else eventually stops as well. A value does not appear by accident. It is built deliberately, and personal development is the tool that builds it. Skills, knowledge, discipline, attitude, and character are not gifts handed out randomly. They are cultivated. Every time you read, study, practice, reflect, or learn from experience, you are adding to your value. You may not see the results immediately, but life is quietly keeping score. Many people focus only on working harder at their job. They stay busy, exhausted, and frustrated, wondering why their situation does not change. Jim Rohn warned against this trap. He said if you work hard on your job, you can make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. A job can pay you only according to its structure. But personal development increases what you are capable of earning anywhere. The personal development changes how you think before it changes what you have. As your thinking improves, your decisions improve. As your decisions improve, your actions improve. And as your actions improve, your results follow. This is why two people can be given the same opportunity and end up with completely different outcomes. The opportunity was the same, but the person was not. Learning is one of the simplest and most powerful forms of personal development. Reading books, listening to ideas, and studying successful people expands your perspective. It allows you to see options you could not see before. When your mind grows, your world expands. Problems that once felt overwhelming become manageable, because you now have better tools to deal with them. A personal development also strengthens discipline. Discipline is not something you are born with, it is something you practice. Small daily habits like reading a few pages, planning your day, or reflecting on your actions may seem insignificant, but over time they build self-control. And self-control is valuable. Life responds to people who can manage themselves before trying to manage circumstances. Another powerful aspect of personal development is awareness. As you grow, you begin to recognize your weaknesses without being offended by them. You stop pretending and start improving. Instead of defending bad habits, you outgrow them. This honesty with yourself is rare, and rarity increases value. A personal development also increases confidence, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that comes from competence. When you know you are improving, learning, and growing, you trust yourself more. You walk differently, speak differently, and make decisions with greater certainty. People notice this. Opportunities often go to those who appear prepared, even before they fully are. The most important thing about personal development is that it compounds. One book does not change your life, but a habit of reading can. One class does not transform you, but a commitment to learning does. Growth builds on growth. Over time, you become someone who can handle more responsibility, more opportunity, and more success. A life responds to value, and personal development is how value is created. You do not wait for life to change so you can grow. You grow so that life has a reason to change. Responsibility is the moment a person takes back control of their life. Jim Rohn believed that until someone accepts full responsibility, nothing truly changes. Circumstances may shift, opportunities may come and go, but progress remains limited. The moment responsibility is accepted, progress becomes possible. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because the person becomes stronger. Many people misunderstand responsibility and see it as blame or pressure. In truth, responsibility is power. When you blame the economy, your parents, your boss, or your past, you give your power away. You place your future in someone else's hands. Responsibility does the opposite. It says, "This is my life, and I can do something about it." That mindset changes everything. Life does not ask whose fault something is. It asks who is willing to do something about it. Waiting for fairness is a losing strategy. Life is not unfair or fair, it is simply responsive. It responds to action, discipline, and growth. Responsibility is the decision to stop waiting and start acting, regardless of whether the situation was deserved or not. When responsibility is avoided, excuses multiply. People say they would succeed if conditions were better, if they had more time, if someone helped them, if things were different. But those conditions rarely arrive. Responsibility removes the need for perfect circumstances. It forces you to work with what you have, where you are, as you are. Taking responsibility also sharpens awareness. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" That question turns problems into teachers. Every setback becomes feedback. Every mistake becomes information. This shift alone can accelerate growth because it keeps you moving forward instead of stuck in resentment. Responsibility also improves discipline. When you stop expecting someone else to fix things, you become more careful with your time, your habits, and your choices. You start planning instead of drifting. You start preparing instead of reacting. Discipline grows naturally when responsibility is taken seriously, because you understand that no one is coming to rescue you. Another effect of responsibility is increased value. People who take responsibility are dependable. They do not make excuses. They follow through. They own results, good or bad. These traits make a person valuable in any environment. Employers trust them. Partners respect them. Opportunities find them. Life responds positively to those who can be counted on. The responsibility also frees you emotionally. Blame is exhausting. It keeps you angry and powerless. Responsibility, while demanding, is energizing. It gives you direction. Instead of replaying what went wrong, you focus on what to do next. That forward movement creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Accepting responsibility does not mean denying hardship. It means refusing to let hardship decide your future. You can acknowledge difficulty without surrendering control. This balance is what mature responsibility looks like. You recognize reality, but you do not submit to it passively. When Jim Rohn said, "If it's going to get better, it's up to me," he was not placing a burden on people, he was handing them the keys. Responsibility is not a sentence, it is an invitation to grow, to improve, and to become someone life can respond to. Most people underestimate the power of small actions. They look for major breakthroughs, dramatic changes, or sudden moments of inspiration, believing that success must arrive in big leaps. Jim Rohn taught the opposite. He warned that life is shaped far more by small, repeated behaviors than by rare, heroic efforts. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. A small daily disciplines seem insignificant in the moment. Reading 10 pages feels too easy to matter. Saving a small amount of money feels too slow to make a difference. Practicing a skill for a few minutes seems minor. Because the results are not immediate, people dismiss these actions. But life does not respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. Repetition turns small actions into powerful forces. And neglect works the same way. Jim Rohn often spoke about how failure is rarely a single event. It is the result of small errors in judgment repeated daily. Skipping reading today feels harmless. Procrastinating one task seems unimportant. Ignoring your health for a week feels manageable. But over time, these small acts of neglect accumulate. The danger is not in one decision, but in the habit it creates. The reason small disciplines are so powerful is that they compound. Improvement builds on improvement. A person who reads daily gains knowledge, vocabulary, perspective, and confidence. Those gains influence decisions, conversations, and opportunities. One good habit strengthens another. Over months and years, the difference between someone who practices small disciplines and someone who does not becomes dramatic. Small daily disciplines also shape identity. You do not just do the habit, you become the type of person who does it. A person who reads daily starts seeing themselves as a learner. A person who plans their day begins to see themselves as organized. A person who keeps commitments begins to trust themselves. Identity change is one of the deepest forms of growth, and it begins with small actions. Another reason small disciplines matter is that they reduce resistance. Big goals feel intimidating and overwhelming. Small actions feel manageable. You are more likely to do what feels doable. Jim Rohn understood that success is not built on motivation alone. Motivation comes and goes. Systems and habits remain. Small daily disciplines work even on days when you don't feel inspired. Life responds slowly but surely to these disciplines. The response is not dramatic at first, which is why many quit. Results lag behind effort. You plant seeds today and see growth later. This delay tests patience and faith. But those who understand the principle keep going, knowing that consistency always wins in the end. Small disciplines also create momentum. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, you build self-respect. That self-respect fuels confidence, and confidence fuels action. Progress becomes easier because you trust yourself to follow through. Life responds to this reliability, often by opening doors that once seemed closed. The same compounding effect applies to neglect. Small failures to act quietly erode confidence and capability. You stop trusting yourself. Opportunities feel heavier. Life seems harder not because it changed, but because you did. Jim Rohn warned that neglect, practiced daily, leads to disaster. Not suddenly, but gradually. The power of small daily disciplines is that they put success within reach of anyone, willing to be patient and consistent. You do not need extraordinary talent. You need ordinary actions done every day. Over time, those actions increase your value, and life responds. Not loudly, not quickly, but inevitably.